Do it.
Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Coffee, where I am currently hyped up because I just saw The Rise of Skywalker. So what we're going to do in this video is I'm just got back from the theater, so I'm going to ramble for a bit and give you guys my initial reaction.
I have spoken.
Hello there to all of the returning subscribers, but if you're new to the channel and you're just finding me for the first time, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button on this video and any other video from the channel that you check out, and be sure to hit that notification bell so that the bell is completely filled in, as this is the way you will never miss a new video the second it goes live.
Do it.
Okay, so with that being said, there's going to be spoilers from The Rise of Skywalker in this video. So if you don't want to know anything about The Rise of Skywalker before having gone and seen it, consider this your spoiler warning and back out now. Or don't. Anyway, so here's what we got. The movie was great. Like I said, if you watched my Watch This Before You Watch The Rise of Skywalker video, I told you some of the critics' reviews from good and some of them from the bad side. And I told you to form your own opinion in the end, which is what I did. Knowing the leaks beforehand helped me know what to prepare for, so I wasn't surprised at anything. There was one thing that I was surprised about that wasn't included in the leak in good detail, but I enjoyed what that was. So going from Act 1, the pacing in Act 1, everybody talks about the pacing in the reviews being bad and poor. Pacing was fine. The whole thing, the pacing was fine. It was a little quick at the beginning, setting everything up, but other than that, the pacing was great. And we have all of our main characters explained. We get Palpatine right off the bat, coming in as the big bad. The leaks I talked about with Snoke being in the back to tank, essentially, where Kylo Ren goes and finds out that Palpatine created Snoke went well. So now we have The Last Jedi being retconned in a sense, and Palpatine created Snoke, so really the main villain this whole time was Palpatine, which I liked, which was great. Especially because in The Force Awakens we didn't really see Palpatine, we saw a clone. Or not a clone, a projection. Which really could have just been Palpatine from Exegol. So that works out well. And then in The Last Jedi when Kylo Ren kills him, doesn't really matter anymore, just helps develop Kylo's character arc. So then we get to The Rise of Skywalker where obviously Kylo Ren turns back into Ben Solo and is redeemed. And one thing I had to point out is JJ trolled Ryan really hard in The Last Jedi, essentially throwing the whole thing out. So in The Rise of Skywalker, Rey is on Ahch-To, and she decides to exile herself, and Luke goes, I was wrong. Trolled the whole Last Jedi. Trolled Luke's whole character arc, redeeming the character we knew and love. So after that point, Luke was a much more positive character for the remaining 2 minutes he was in the movie. But going from that forward, Palpatine, the only thing left unexplained about Palpatine was how he survived. Everything else about Palpatine that they brought in, they fixed with the character. So, after that, we go and we see Palpatine, old Palpatine. You don't really see a close-up. They continue the flash of light. You never see Palpatine like fully visible until after he's been rejuvenated, sucking the life force out of people. So the leak that Disney's Switzerland Star Wars had was true, and that came to fruition as well. So all of the leaks, if you are following the channel and you watch all the leaks, they happened. So brace yourself for that, they happened. Kylo Ren dies. When I first read the leak, it made sense. When I first watched it yesterday on the leak scene on the Star Wars Reddit, I was less enthusiastic about it, but seeing it play out in the entire story was good. That whole arc was fine, because thematically it works. Because the whole darkness concept dies, right? So the Empire, the First Order, the Final Order, all of it's gone. Which essentially shows the redemption arc of Kylo Ren, but also of the galaxy through Kylo. So he starts off good, goes bad, and then he sacrifices himself for the good. So the darkness dies and the light wins. So that's essentially the whole theme throughout the whole thing. And what was really great about it is everybody who thought Rey was a Mary Sue character, she dies. Although she defeats Palpatine, she dies, so she didn't have it in her to survive the whole thing. Kylo Ren had to kill, or not kill her, had to rejuvenate her using the same force trick that Rey used to heal the Sandworm Viper. And then she had to heal Kylo on the Death Star wreckage. And then we see Kylo using the same trick on Rey in order to bring her back. So we see this new force power implemented, but it's implemented in a way that makes sense through the story that JJ was telling. So if you're not going to like the new force implementation powers, if you want everything to be just the way George was, you probably shouldn't have been watching the new Star Wars anyway. And here's one of the other things that I think everybody needs to keep in mind. Everybody was whining that George didn't direct this trilogy. But everybody was also whining when George directed the prequels. They were complaining about everything he did in the prequels. And then we go to this Disney trilogy, and everybody's now complaining that George didn't do anything in the trilogy. But if George had done the trilogy, you'd be complaining about the same thing he did in the prequels. You'd be nitpicking it anyway. So that one review where they talk about Star Wars being closer to you than just a movie, being it more like family, nitpicking everything, that is 100% true. The movie will mean different things to different people. Personally, I liked The Rise of Skywalker. I thought it was good. It had excellent fan service. We saw Tatooine, we saw Cloud City, we saw Jakku, we saw Chewbacca finally get his medal, we saw Rey get her yellow lightsaber, so everybody who wanted to see Rey with a double saber got that too, and we also saw Rey with her own color lightsaber, so everybody who wanted a new color lightsaber added got that. And the best part that everybody wanted was Anakin. Guess what? You got your voice. Now I'm sure everybody's going to whine about, well, that's not enough. It was just a voice. He should have been in it. Well, guess what? You got the voice. You wanted him. You got him. Quit whining about it. You got him as a voice. You got Mace Windu back. Samuel made as a cameo. You got Qui-Gon back as his voice. You got Obi-Wan back. You got the Alec Guinness version. And you got the Ewan McGregor version. You got Anakin back as Hayden Christensen. He had 3 lines in the Act 3. He had 3 lines of that. And then you had Ahsoka in there, and you had Luminari in there. So you had many a Jedi helping Rey realize that she was all the Jedi after Palpatine claimed he was all the Sith. And the thematic principle of this is the good outweighs the evil. The light outshines the darkness. Very thematic, works well, executed well. Rey's able to use all of the Jedi from the past that we see her trying to connect with at the beginning of the movie in Act 1 come full circle. So JJ really did do a good job of tying this up. JJ has admitted to himself that he's not good at wrapping things up, but he did a good job in this. So you wanted your Jedi, you got your Jedi. Another cameo that everybody called me crazy when I talked about it was we got Han back. Han's scene was fantastic. This happened at the core end of Act 2, and we saw Han essentially, okay, I gotta make this really clear, because no matter what, somebody's gonna comment saying it was a Force ghost. Han is not a Force ghost. Han is a vision. He is a figment of Kylo's imagination at this point, realizing that he is Ben Solo after Leia's death. You see Han and Kylo Ren, at this point Ben Solo, essentially redoing their entire scene from The Force Awakens, because as Rey said at the beginning of the film, it haunts Kylo. So we have this connection, these little threads throughout the whole thing, being woven together to film this cohesive unit. So we have Harrison Ford making his cameo, same outfit as he was in The Force Awakens. We have Ben Solo doing the exact same motion, same dialogue as he did in The Force Awakens before he put the saber through Han. This time, Rey put the saber through Kylo Ren, the saber he used to kill Han. So Kylo really got a dose of his own medicine, helping him to realize that that is not the way he should be going. We have the idea here is that Han was right the whole time. Kylo knew Han was right the whole time. And so this time, after Leia's gone, after realizing that everything both of them had fought for was gone, him realizing that this needs to be righted, decides to do it himself, as that's the only resolving way to do it. Rey helped by saying she wanted to take his hand in The Last Jedi. He stretched it out to her in The Rise of Skywalker. Still didn't take it because she knew that they were the Force dyad. So we didn't lose that concept completely, by the way. But you had that concept in there. And the reason Kylo came to and used the same thing from The Force Awakens is because this is the way it was supposed to go the first time in order to right the ship. And so that happened. So we got that. That worked out well. This is how Ben Solo returns. Another great thing about Ben Solo, when he comes back to help Rey defeat Palpatine, he has to take on the Knights of Ren. He gets his butt whooped by him the first time, and then he pulls out some really great lightsaber moves that really reminded me of what Anakin was able to do against the Obi-Wan Anakin fight in Revenge of the Sith. Excellent moves, excellent stuff. All of the lightsaber fights were great, well choreographed, especially Rey's vision where she had her own Dagobah cave moment on the wreckage of the Death Star 2, which was on a moon in Endor when she was going to find the Wayfinder. So we got Rey's Dagobah cave moment again. Essentially, we got our real Dagobah cave moment. So we had her go to get the Wayfinder. She pulls it, and then she has to fight herself, just like Luke had to fight his own Vader version in Empire. So that worked well. So Rey literally had to fight herself. So it was a more choreographed fight than what Luke did when he swung a couple times and knocked Vader's head off. Rey essentially loses to herself then, realizing that her anger corrupts her, which was foreshadowing what would happen when she shoves Kylo's saber through his chest. And then having to heal him is the character turn, the change for her, realizing that she can't give in to the darkness because this is the path that leads her down, which is why she exiles herself to Ahch-To and has Luke come in and retcon his character. So everything was great. You're going to like the movie if you can get behind the idea that the Skywalker line has to close by having all the Skywalkers die. And the reason is because if there's any Skywalkers left living, guess what? The Skywalker story cannot be finished logically. It can't be finished. You can't have the story be done if the character's living, because then the character's going to do something else, leading more of a story to take place. With all of the Skywalker blood dead, the only Skywalker remaining is Rey, who sees Luke and Leia as her adopted parents at the end with the Force ghosts. And since she's not a true Skywalker, it really is done, because Rey's a Palpatine, therefore she's left alive, but the Skywalker story has concluded. And I'm really glad that they did Palpatine as the villain, because he was the villain in the first trilogy, the second trilogy, and now he's really the villain in this final trilogy. So we have an overarching villain the whole time that wins. Anakin says his lines tie in really well. I'm not going to spoil those, just so you can go watch it and be a little surprised if you're watching this without the spoilers. But overall, I really like the movie. I think it's great. This is, again, my initial reaction. I literally just got home from the movie about 15 minutes ago. So here's my initial reaction. Let me know what you guys think when you go see the movie with a comment down below. Thank you guys for watching. God bless, and may the Force be with you.
They feel like family. So I hope they enjoy it. And if they don't, just keep it to yourself.
If you enjoyed this episode, and frankly, even if you didn't, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to help spread the word, please give this video a thumbs up and tell your friends to subscribe. Please check out the official Star Wars Coffee merchandise, and don't forget to check out all of the content playlists on this channel, including The Rise of Skywalker, The Mandalorian, and much more.